Hello and welcome back to King Note Gaming. It is I, King Note, and we are back on my Ancient Aliens Junglecore island of Java, and today we are making the Volcano. This first little bit of this video is going to be all just editing custom designs, so if you want to skip all of that, the timestamp is going to be here, but if you want to see how I edit the designs, keep watching. So I'm taking all of those tiles I made from the entrance that I didn't finish up yet, like the lava rock and the lava path, which will come up later once we get to that, but I'm essentially just editing the middle path, making sure it's perfectly tiling, and then I'm also making the corners of the path and the sides and everything, because it's a 9-tile path. So I did a lot of path editing in this video, and I tried to minimize it as much as possible because truly it's not that interesting, and you can see how I made the original tile on my entrance for Java if you want to watch that. But yeah, it's just a lot of taking out part of the tile to make it the edges of the path, essentially. So yeah, while this is going on, I don't have a lot to explain because it's pretty self-explanatory. Normally I go more in depth with my path making, but this is just editing an existing path. I also went back and forth a little bit to make sure that, again, it was perfectly tiling, because it was a little bit off from the first draft, but I fixed that. I'm going to talk about what I'm planning with this island, because I always make a full map plan, because I'm that kind of guy. I need to have a whole thing, going. So, this is the Volcano, which is one of the big builds on this island, which is super fun. I like doing gigantic builds on my maps. The other build that's going to be happening next is the little sanctuary. So one of my previous builds on this island I called the danger zone. It's essentially a don't go past this area or you will get into the scary jungle kind of a thing. And right before that area, kind of to the right of it, is the area where we have my the two guardians of the island, which are Drift and Phoebe. They are the strong ones on the island who protect everyone else and warn anybody if something weird comes out of the jungle, because that tends to happen on this island. And Rory, our resident rep, just kind of crash landed here, so he's like, I don't care, I'm gonna go in there anyway, which is not a great idea, but, foolhardy, does it anyway. It's how it be. And then the build I'm planning to do after that one is the Ancient Alien Temple, which is going to be past that danger zone, and it's going to incorporate the museum as kind of like a giant alien temple, like Ancient Alien Temple, which I'm super excited to do. I haven't done that build yet as I'm recording this video, but hopefully I will finish it soon, because I'm excited to get this island going. And we're almost done with the first round of custom designs here. Yep, here we go, and now I'm just laying out these custom designs along the volcano, so it's more of a volcano and less of a grassy area. But yeah, I added those little 6 extra pieces, so single tile path kind of things, and I also eventually add a single tile, just so it's more easily usable. And then I also come down here to the entrance of the volcano to start making that pathway, because I wanted to make a path leading from the area where the fishing area is with Octavian and Rio, and I wanted to make that pathway all the way down the side of the island to the volcano. And I'm adding just a little extra path area there for the stairs. I don't have very many inclines on this island because, they're harder to make, and I made them wood specifically because that's an easier resource for people on this island to get. I tried to make it as low-tech as I could, basically. And here I'm adding in tiles on the top of the volcano, And then we eventually go down into the volcano where I edit and make my lava tiles, which I've already made the center for on my entrance build. I just decided to make all of the major 9+ tile path pieces at once. I mean, I didn't finish them, but I made the center pieces. But yeah, it's just a lot of adding in tiles. And here I'm removing some tiles and adding in a space for some greenery up top here, like coconut trees and bamboo trees. And then here's where I start figuring out the lava section of the volcano at the bottom here. And I'm adding in the volcanic rock path. And then here I'm just doing the same thing that I did with the other tiles and making a 9-part plus lava path. I do end up making the other 6 tiles, so it's a 12-tile path technically speaking, but you can use the 9-tile path on its own. You don't necessarily need the optional 1-tile path pieces. And here's where I start actually filling in the lava section. It was really fun to use this lava path. I think it turned out very well. When I first made it, I really had to adjust the colors a lot so it didn't look like ketchup and mustard, but I think it looks like lava now. And it's just filling in the puzzle pieces. I do end up also putting in some of the lava rock path just to have somewhere for you to stand without being in lava. Because obviously I'm making the floor lava, which is not something you want to step in as an illusion. And then here's where I'm putting in some rock pathing, so there's somewhere for you to actually stand on down here. And yeah. It turns out really nice. Obviously, I can take advantage of them both being 9 tall paths, so they can kind of bump up against each other and still look good. But I think it turned out very well. And then here I just turned one of the paths into a single tile lava rock, just to have a little single one, because there's a lot of spaces that are kind of awkward and kind of require a single path, like right there, because it can't really connect to the other pieces very well, so I just made that to make it a little bit easier to get rock all the way around. And then I went around adding in some little places for trees, like bamboo trees, also coconut trees, just to put some greenery over here, because it is a jungle and we need a lot of greenery. I planted a ton of things, and I also stole some coconut trees from the beach. If you have like a tropical or a jungle island, I would highly recommend just planting a ton of coconut trees on your beach and then stealing them later when they're fully grown, so you don't have to like keep waiting for things to grow or like time traveling. And then here I'm adding like a little thing for the connecting area that I will eventually connect later. And then I used a lot of the bamboo partitions in the smoked variety. I think that just looks really nice, and this island is primarily red and black, so it very much matches the color scheme, and I think it looks nice. And then I tried to add one there. It didn't quite work, but yeah. I just wanted to have like kind of a barrier before you come up into the volcano with those ladders. And then here I'm adding in like some mossy garden rocks, some other garden rocks, other things that would... It kind of makes it feel more like a 3D volcano instead of just like flat layers. I wanted to add some extra texture and that kind of thing, and I used a bunch of garden rocks. I also end up putting some gyroids around too, because they have like alien kind of vibes. And then I used glowing moss boulders in red to act like little lava bubbles, which I think looks great. It especially looks good at night. So I'm either going to be setting this dream address at night or during a thunderstorm. I haven't quite decided yet, but either way, it's going to be really glowy and it's going to look great. But yeah, I'm just finding anywhere I can put things. I got some ruined seats as well, got some log benches, wild log benches, that kind of thing. I think the ruined seats in black look really good too. And of course I added some campfires just for some, burning fire. And then rocks in various places. Here's where I'm just like really just building, which it took a long time to get to this point. Obviously the terraforming part I did quite a while ago, because I tend to do terraforming like right when I get an island. I like to have the map done, like the main bulk of the map done first, which I have found is very unusual, but it helps my brain because I can kind of like circle things, and say, oh, I want this here, I want that there. And it helps me build faster, because I don't like terraforming as I build very much, other than paths, of course, because, But yeah, apparently I'm weird for that, so, hey. And I'd put a lot of these little things around the sides here, because they shouldn't really be accessible anyway. Like, it's not really meant to be a pathway, it's just meant to be a part of the volcano, so I kind of blocked that off a little bit. And here's how it's looking thus far. I also added some ancient statues down there, because, ancient aliens, it works very well. And, at this point I'm like, oh yeah, it's really coming together. And now back to building, I also included some decayed trees around, because, there would be, like, normal trees around, and then the volcano erupts and they die, and they'd just be there, so. Plus, I like the color of it, and how it adds some height to everything. And then here I put the wild log bench. I actually eventually changed that later, at a later point after this build was done, just because I wanted to have access to that bridge down below, but it looks good for now. And then I included like a couple skeletons around, because obviously if you come into the volcano, it's dangerous, it's hot, like you might die. it's dangerous. So yeah, now I'm going down to the pathway to the jungle, or to the volcano, and obviously I have to put a whole bunch of palm trees. I'm kind of annoyed that you can't just like plant a palm tree where there's a sand patch. You have to actually dig the sand patch. That's kind of annoying, but whatever. Whatever. And of course there's a lot of areas you can't do it, and the rules for trees in this game can be a little mildly infuriating, but what can you do? It's just a lot of planting of trees at this point. I go back in and do some bushes and flowers later, and then of course some decorations, but we're getting there. Just a lot of tree planting. And then here's where I start to add in some flowers after I put bushes in and got them to grow. This island is going to only have red and black flowers, so I had to go to my other island to get a bunch of black flowers, because I was trying to breed them, but it wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. And now here I'm actually adding in some other, like, item plants, and I try to put them behind the bushes so it looks like they're actually growing out of the ground from the angle that you view them. And then some giant vines, some other big things like that as well. I also put a couple of outdoor baths in as well, just for some like running water and because it looks cool. And then I added in even more palm trees and bamboo partitions and all kinds of other normal items that I'm going to be using on this island. I kind of like doing these builds because it's like, oh yeah, that's definitely the item scheme I'm working with. And then I added in a bunch of more red hibiscus starts. just to add more shrubberies and to kind of limit the path a little bit. But I tried to make it pretty obvious where you can walk up that way. And you can always walk up the beach where it's less, you know, covered in items. Also some Titan Arums as well. And a bunch of green leaf piles. Just to make it feel more filled in. And then I found another area for the outdoor bath eventually. But lots of fan palms, lots of monsteras. That kind of a thing, because they are all tropical plants, so it makes total sense. I also filled in some more areas with path, but that's not as interesting, so here I am adding in some more items, like the outdoor bath over there. Then I time traveled to night, so I can put in the tiki torches and see how they look in the dark, and I really love how the tiki torches put everything together. It turned out super nice. And it's kind of a way of guiding you through the path to the volcano. And I want to use a lot more tiki torches on this island, just because it's going to either be set during a storm or during night, so I want to have a lot of things that light up the area. And the glowing moss stuff looks really great at night too, so I'm super happy that I did that. And then here I started adding in some gyroids for some, you know, noise, and also because they feel very alien-like, so... And then I'm adding some last-minute touches here, a couple of fencings, some stuff to kind of block off that area that you don't really need to be on. And then I added some vines, just to add some more texture to everything. And these are the last finishing touches here. We're almost done with the build. I'll also, just last second here, add a bunch of black flowers in. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the final shots. And I will see y'all next week for another Animal Crossing video. Bye-bye!
Me.